Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Welcome to Carbonite Bounty BS, the show where we are going to talk about Disney's The Mandalorian. I'm Hitch.
I'm DP.
I'm Ken.
And we are going to talk to you today about our expectations for the upcoming season of The Mandalorian, which is going to be season 2. I am very excited. But before we get to the fun stuff, which is talking about what we think is going to happen, I want to hear from my good pal, DP, and I want to hear what he has to say about where we can be found. DP?
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. If we didn't say it one time, we said it many times. Make sure you go there to search all our social media links at Nerdcyclopedia. All right, we're on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, basically anywhere on social media, we are there. Make sure that you are listening to our podcast all over the podcast realm on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, tune in, we are there. And also, if you're feeling good and feeling generous, make sure you're leaving us some feedback at nerdcyclopedia.com. We love the feedback and we love your comments. Also, you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure that you're subscribing, telling your friends, sharing. All right, all that good stuff. And making sure you're hitting that notifications,
Wherever.
The notifications.
Just click all over the screen, the whole screen.
Click all over the screen. Make sure that you want to get notified every time we come on. All right?
That's right. You want to hear from us, and that is DP Brown, my partner in crime. He's the best at telling you where to find us in the business. All right. So now that you know that stuff, and now that you probably remember all the crap we've been talking about. Yeah, it's been this has been an interesting amount of time has passed in the world since the last time we talked about
we pioneered the Zoom
I
thing,
know.
The split screen, we were doing it before they started doing it this year. Okay, yeah.
All right. So we are here, we're remote, and we learned how to do all this like a year in advance, so we did good. All right. So let's start Ken. Let's start with you because you have come in cosplay, which I respect. I do respect that.
Kendo.
The Kendo. Why don't you tell us what you're looking forward to? Like, if there was one thing this season that you're looking forward to the most, what would it be?
Where the child belongs.
That is a good one.
Because the whole thing is, I have to get him back to his people. Mm-hmm. Even the other Mandalorians are saying, you have to take him back to where he belongs. So, isn't that going to open up a huge can of worms? Like, where did he come from?
Now that is an interesting thing in the canon of Star Wars, because one of the things that has been the most fiercely guarded canonical secret is what species are the Yodai.
Exactly.
So interesting to see that. How about you, DP? What are you looking forward to the most in the things you've seen, like upcoming or that you're expecting from this season?
Yeah, so I can't wait to see Cara Dune again, because I always love looking at her. She's always a pleasure to the eye every time she comes on screen. Want to see more Grief. He's always a good, a comedic. Just the way he talks and everything, and the way he carries himself on screen is a pleasure to see. But the thing I wanted to see the most is more Moff Gideon. Oh my goodness, this guy here, he came bursting on the scene as if he just commanded. He just has such a really great commanding presence, and he has the great black saber.
Yes.
So we found out a little bit about that, in the animated shows and everything. And now we actually get to see it in live action. Yeah. So, of course, it's going to be canon because, the same writers from those shows are on this show. So I'm looking very forward to seeing the origins or the continuation of how he got the black saber.
It's interesting to see where they're going with this because in the cartoons, there's this whole subplot about the black saber being a Mandalorian Jedi's product. So that sword that that Moff Gideon has at the end of season 1 is a specific relic tied to the Mandalorian culture, which is fleshed out in those cartoons. And we have it on good word. No, we're not breaking any embargoes because Disney doesn't give any craps about us. So they don't care. We don't have any advanced info. But that being said, it looks like we're going to get some special stars from the universe of the cartoons, including Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica is rumored.
Oh, right.
Rosario Dawson's rumored to show up as one of the main Clone Wars characters. So there's some exciting stuff. I don't want to get into spoil the plot stuff with these, but they're actors, so you can say their names. It's okay. You'd recognize them, right? You recognize those guys.
Right.
I'm excited to see how the size and scope of this series has earned the right to explode in scope, right? This has, by dint of like the theory of evolution, become the main pathway, like the main Star Wars product in the Disney universe.
Yeah. It's
So
I would say that it's a bouncing off point. It's a way to like reboot. I mean, because you had a lot of people who really didn't like the last Star Wars film. You got a lot of people who did, so it was a mixed bag with the fandom and stuff. But universally, everyone loved the Mandalorian. So it's a way to come look at this show as a jumping off point for people who are wanting to jump on to the Star Wars bandwagon, and a way to keep the ones that are currently into it, really, just keep the train moving.
Now, Ken, what do you think about what that means, that this is the flagship product of the Star Wars universe? What does it mean that the Skywalker saga is over and now we're onto this show?
Well, they've taken they're getting back to the roots of the whole thing. I mean, Mandalorian is dirty. It's crusty. It's a fallen empire. It's a fallen society trying to pull itself up by its bootstraps. Like Rogue One had a lot of that element. A New Hope, Empire. I mean, it just has that feel. The whole thing. Plus, everyone likes spin-offs. Everyone from stories. Think of Happy Days and Mork and Mindy.
Where did that show had like about 4 or 5 spin-offs?
Happy Days is still spinning off shows. I mean, honestly, they made a Scott Baio got a vehicle out of that show. You know what I mean? That's
there was Joni loved Chachi. So this is a great formula. They've taken a solid character, species, right, whatever, and really developed a great place. And they've got this like dirty, just really unrefined, junky feel to the whole thing, but with style. And I think it's legit. It's like, it's down, man. It's like where we need to be right now in this time with Star Wars.
Yeah. Just take it back to the roots and everything. Even with the trailer, the first thing that jumped out at me was like the first shot when the ship was coming right into the screen. They had the opening shot of like the planet and everything. Ship was coming into the screen. It looked like it was made from like the 70s as far as the way, and I think they did that on purpose as far as the way the special effects of that shot was, because they could have did it a lot clearer. They could have did it a lot, cleaner and smoother, but it just gave that right feel of being a classic. This is what I think they want us to feel with this, like, Ken said, making us feel more, taking it back to the roots.
I absolutely agree. I think what The Mandalorian does that the other products, the Star Wars products that I've liked less, have not done is The Mandalorian captures, like you said, Ken, and like you said, DP, that original Star Wars spirit. Because remember, A New Hope doesn't have a whole lot of Jedi, philosophy and a lot of monk stuff. It's mostly a space, like, escape epic, you know what I mean? It's a Western. And The Mandalorian captures that in a way that the subsequent Star Wars stuff has gone into a different direction. I don't want to say better or worse. I want to say it changed, it evolved over time to become more philosophical and to be less, less of like a serial, less of a Saturday serial. And what the Mandalorian does very well is it is that sort of, a story that feels like you could run alongside A New Hope. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that is, in my opinion, what links Rogue One and The Mandalorian and A New Hope together. Now it's interesting. Here's the interesting thing, because Boba Fett was the first like extra thing that got added to Star Wars, right?
Right.
Because he debuted in the Christmas special. I think it's
the infamous Christmas special.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting because it's almost like if you gave them
they still owe me a check for that.
They owe me. But it's like, what if they went back and just dropped like this series instead, right? Like, what if this series occupied that place in the canon? So the Empire is gonna fall.
Oh, yeah.
The Empire is gonna fall now. You don't know exactly the mechanism, but there's some weird stuff. More like this is where it feels like it fits spiritually in the canon to me. It's alongside those really great sort of capery, lived in rough pioneer-esque. Like we're out here and there's no safety net where we're operating on this planet, right?
Right.
These are the things about Star Wars that I think are really great. And it's great to see that you can make a really excellent Star Wars show with minimal, like, Jedi sort of stuff, right? I know there's the child, but if you pulled the child out of this, I think you still have a really good show.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, they even mentioned it a little bit in the trailer. I know we're not really getting in any spoilers or anything like that, but I'm sure like a lot of reviewers who are watching this, saw the trailer. So they're giving us little bits of teasers that, the Jedi is mentioned. So I don't know how much of that we're going to see, hopefully not too much, but just enough just to, whet our appetites.
How much, Ken, for you? Like how much Jedi is enough Jedi in this show, and how much would be too much?
Too much would be if they introduced a main character other than the child, which we don't even. I mean, you don't really know how powerful it is yet. Really, I mean, it's pretty powerful, but we don't really know much about it. But if they brought another one in and then because at this point the Jedi are gone. Their fire has gone out from the galaxy. That's it. They've been extinguished. So if they started bringing a whole bunch of Jedi back, I don't know.
Well, here's where it is in the canon. It's after episode 6. So it's after the Battle of Endor, which means that there are Jedi. Right. There's at least one. I'm sorry. We take that back because of course the sequel trilogy exists. There are 2 Jedi, Luke and Leia, at least. So
yeah, at least.
So here we're operating, and we know that at some point Luke is going to have an academy somewhere, because that's where Ben is. So we know that there are these 2 things that are sort of happening at the same time, where the Empire is collapsing, and Luke is rebuilding the Jedi Order, and this child fits in somewhere because the Jedi are they're coalescing again around Luke Skywalker. The most famous man in the galaxy.
Yeah, I guess you can't avoid a bunch of Jedi in the Star Wars universe, but I think they want to stay away from really overloading us with it. I don't mind if here and there, but I want it to focus mostly on the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it there.
Yeah, they have a simple story. He's trying to deliver, the child. He's trying to deliver the child, so he has just a simple mission. So he's basically just having adventures on the way, like a Western would. He's going from town to town. Whether he's at a bar or he's meeting different people along the way, having made possible romance or whatever, may possibly not. Alongside of him is a child that he's just carrying, and his thing, he's been decreed for not leaving the child or having the child ever leave. So they are bonded, they are tied together, so which was a great thing that they ended off with last season. So these two, the child and Mando, they are one and the same.
I absolutely agree. I think for me, when I realized this show was going to be special instead of really good, and I think that there's a big designation there. But when Mando goes back for the child, when he does that, that's when for me this show takes itself into a new dimension, because we already know this is a very selfish character, like a certain smuggler we all know that I like a lot. He's this very selfish character. He's a bounty hunter, and we see him opening up and doing the right thing based on this honor code that to be a bounty hunter he has to be violating. Right? I mean that's just
Right.
the bounty hunting is not the same thing as fighting fair. fighting with honor. Let me ask you this, Ken. What would you say? What was it about the first season? What moment specifically made you realize this was like a really special show?
Well, I think we actually talked about this. The scene with all the Mandalorians, right? I mean, that was like, wow, because you read about them. They were mentioned in various points in, like you guys talk about the canon or in the trade paperbacks and the offshoot stories and the Dark Horse Bounty Hunter series. You sort of heard about armies of these Mandalorian and all, just to see them.
Yeah.
That I knew that moment. Also the IG-88 battle too. I mean, that was great.
Yeah.
I mean, those two moments, obviously they were in different episodes, but that really made it for me. I mean, that was like, yeah, this is great. I'm invested in this for sure.
How about you, DP? What would be the moment, maybe the standout moment for you for the first season? The moment you were like, wow, this is even more than I thought it was going to be.
I would have to say the appearance of, like, was probably just going to be my favorite character, Moff Gideon. His appearance, his command of the screen, and when you get Giancarlo in anything, he just has a presence that just takes over. And we're going to see him as, like, the if he ends up being like the big bad of this season, he really made an impression on me as far as how far this show could go. And still maintain its, like, if you want to call it grounded, just being a grounded show and everything.
I think it's an excellent show that works on so many different levels. This is a show, I'll say that my dad watches this show. He's not as super into Star Wars. I never really was, but he watches the show because he likes Westerns. So, like, we would watch, like, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, you know what I mean? And like Stagecoach, we watched that with my grandpap, and we'd see these shows where there are these, these rugged sort of, these rugged men who are sort of challenged to do the right thing or not. You know what I mean? Challenged to be,
Right.
You're sort of given this guy's a paragon, and then there's sort of a really crummy, sort of awful, scummy guy. And then why does the good guy choose to be the good guy is the question of Westerns. They're simple things.
Yeah. I mean, so you basically just have a simple story where a lot of people who aren't really Star Wars fans could really jump on board and be like, okay, this is something that we could get into. I mean, who can't relate to a person, who has no type of relationship with anyone, who happens upon a child and gets endeared to that child or little person. We've seen that in movies, and the alpha anti-hero or whatever is, all gruff and tough. All of a sudden, a child comes along and, he has to break down and actually care for this, child, look after this child or whatever. This is what we're seeing. And that's sort of endearing us to the Mandalorian in itself, because we already see how, I guess, cute the child is and everything. And the stories are simple. It doesn't involve you in bog you down with a lot of lore, but it's enough for people who are fans, like I was saying before, to really get their cake and really eat it too.
I think that's a great summary for what I agree. I agree that this is the type of show where they put a lot of money into it. They're doing the technical wizardry. We all know about the way they're doing this sort of 3D volume production and how that is going to change. Who knows? Maybe even the consumption of media in the next 20 years.
I highly recommend if you guys haven't seen it yet, but the Disney Plus has a 8 episode making of the Mandalorian. Really, really, really good. It just goes into like all the special effects and how they really simplified the whole world within this really bubble of effect shots where they didn't have to really travel outside of their zone in order to outside of the stage set in order to film a lot of those scenes where you think that okay they're in the desert here, so they must have filmed outside in the desert. No, it was a big studio with a bunch of lights and projectors and stuff surrounded and they're just filming everything. It's a really great if you're really into making of stuff, it's a really highly recommended thing on Disney Plus that they're showing right now.
All right. Awesome. Check that stuff out if you get into the production stuff, or if you're just lazy like me, don't do that if you're lazy. Cannot recommend being lazy enough. Can't do that. All right, guys. So we're gonna get going here. It's a good intro to Mandalorian season 2. Check us out. I know they're going to be dropping the episodes, I think, once a week. So you can check us here.
Every Friday.
Probably if they're going to drop on Friday, I would imagine Saturday, most likely most of the time. Check us here at the Nerdcyclopedia channel on YouTube. Check us out at our website. Check us out on our feeds. Again, Carbonite Bounty BS is the name of this feed. And that's all I got. You guys any other final thoughts? Ken, any final thoughts?
Just can't wait. I'm super excited. Got everything ready with popcorn and womp rats and everything. I'm all set. Got everything going.
All right, guys, that's good.
He's dressed for the occasion, guys.
He is. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for this week. We'll see you later. And hey, this is the way.
This is the way.
All right, see you guys later.